How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Top 5 with Kris 05, and today we're going to be looking at all of the best decks after the mini set came out. I came back from my hernia operation a couple of days ago, so I'm not fully recovered. I really hope I managed to actually go through the whole video without having to pausing, but time will tell. It's kind of hurting when I speak and whatnot, but at least I can sit back on the PC, so that helps a lot. Anyway, we're going to go over 5 of the best decks, talk about the mulligans, the win rates, as well as some general tips so you know what to do with and against them. But we're also going to check out all of the other working archetypes, so stick around to the end. If you enjoy the content and find what I'm doing helpful, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can hire for some Hearthstone coaching. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
Okay, so my initial thoughts from the first few hours of the new mini set definitely were that Zerg is gonna be king, but no, apparently Terran Shaman is killing it right now. And here's one of the best variants of that deck right now. It does have plenty of the new cards, like you're gonna see all of these grayed out cards. For some reason HS Replay still thinks I don't have these. But yeah, we basically have the deck with new stuff, but then again, it's not that surprising. I mean, the mini set basically holds very, very good working packages, so you basically slap in everything new from the mini set and then fill it up with the rest of the stuff. We're gonna see plenty of that with the Zerg decks as well. But yeah, here we have all of the new Terran stuff basically for Shaman. We have the good new lock-on card, which is gonna be setting a minion's health to 1, as well as your next starship is gonna be costing 2 less, so that's gonna be very easy. We're still running good things like Murloc Growthin, as well as Pop-Up Book because they're such good cards. The new SCV also helps you launch starships super cheap. We have Thrall's Gift in here, which you could be using obviously for Bloodlust or Hex, and in some case even Lightning Storm. Cactus Cutter is in here so you can fish out some of those spells out of your deck. The new Missile Pod is also in here, which turns out to be a lot better than I initially thought. Starport is also a wonderful card in here, giving you all sorts of different cheap starship pieces so you can get those starships nice and quick. Trusty Companion so you can fish out plenty of stuff. I'm not gonna go over all of the things you could be fishing out. Obviously you could be using it on Murlocs, on Beasts, that kind of deal. I'm not sure we have other elementals so you can actually fish out Turbulus, which is also a part of this one. I guess you could also fish out the siege tanks and whatnot, but yeah, all around we know what Trusty Companion does. Gorgon Zormo, all around great card in here, giving you some extra tempo. Liftoff is also obviously great, drawing you a couple of cards, while summoning a starship piece definitely sounds good to me. Turbulus making all of those Battlecry minions with the +1. That's gonna be pretty nice. Backstage Bouncer is strong as ever. Grifta, also pretty cool. You could be using this to steal other people's starships and whatnot, I guess. That could be a pretty amazing thing to do. The Siege Tank is also pretty nice, giving you a good amount of damage that can also go face if you launch the starship, and let's face it, you're gonna be launching plenty. Galganeth's still amazing, but definitely not an integral card for this deck. Like, I know a lot of people have been asking lately, could they be running some of these top decks without Titans? And yes, obviously the Titan is an amazing standalone card, like a lot like things like Gorgon Zormo and such. The deck does not revolve around it, but it definitely gets a lot better with it in the deck. Like getting AoE plus healing, the discount on spells, the 20 damage sometimes, all of those things combined could be huge. You're not running any overload cards in here as far as I'm concerned, so there's that, but all around it is a good card to have. But if you don't have it, you can still try the deck. We have a single copy of Horn of the Windlord, so you can actually control the board with it more often than not, unless we have Jim Raynor, which is going to be relaunching a bunch of those starships, and it's going to be super hard for the opponents to handle that. Matchup wise, here's what we have right now. Things like Terran Warrior, Dungar, Druid, and Zerg Warlock are not going to be your friend, but all around everything else looks hella green. As for the mulligan, here's what we have. Going first, you are going to try to curve out decently well, but not too hard. Like, you're not trying too hard to be curving out as much. As you see, it's not a bunch of 1-drops at the top of the keep list. Yes, you still obviously want SCV or Murloc Growthin, probably not both though. Starport usually makes a lot of sense. Turbulus is usually going to be always great. Gorgon Zormo is okay as well, but I'd probably not hold on both to them. Like 2 to 3 drops are a lot more than you need to. Missile Pod apparently is also pretty nice. Liftoff is decent, but again, try to curve into it. And I'd say Trusting Companion is only something you could keep if you already have a great 1-drop like SCV or Murloc Growthin. As for On the Coin, again, plenty of the same stuff, but here I'd say things like Backstage Bouncer become a lot more keepable as well. Holding on to 1-drop is not as critical, but you still rather have them. And things like Cactus Cutter are a bit more keepable. I'd say Pop-Up Book is also acceptable against board-centric matchups. For Urgot Shaman decks, as you can see, plenty of Terran Shamans at the top, even some including things like Shutterblock, which sounds awfully greedy if you ask me. Like, Funny thing that I actually consider now is if you Shutter Block, you could also Siege Tank after that, but I'm not even sure that's gonna work anymore because they did nerf Calamos to not be able to deal the 6 damage to face anymore, so maybe it's gonna work the same here too. So I guess the Shutter Block mainly is in here so you can Jim Raynor after him or something like that. We're gonna have to scroll a lot lower to see something different than Terran Shaman, it seems. Battlecry Shaman is still actually working. I do have a video about that one, so you might want to check it out, even though it is... No, what the hell? This is not Battlecry Shaman, this is Swarm Shaman. What the hell is that even? Kinda weird that we don't see any Asteroid Shamans at the top spots anymore, so I guess that one fell out of favor instead of some of these other decks. So yeah, everything is basically Terran Shamans. Here's some Asteroid Shaman action, but it's just a fraction of what it used to be. I definitely did not expect this to happen, by the way, like what the hell. On the number 2 spot, we have some of that Zerg Death Knight, and as you guys know, I did actually try to build a Zerg Death Knight on day 1 with pretty good success. It's definitely not this variant, but apparently this one does work a lot better. And this one is relying a bit more on the blue stuff, so you can also have things like Reska in here with 1 blue, 1 green. We still are running, obviously, all the good Zerg cards, but we also have room for things like Horn of Winter, which is going to help you do some nasty combos a lot quicker, so definitely like that inclusion. We have the Yodlers in here, we have the Brittle Bones, the Dreadhound Handler is obviously amazing, and Dev Grell also seems pretty good. All around, the Zerg package is obviously amazing right now, and you can still check out some of my gameplay with a similar version, obviously not the same, so you get a better feel of it, but yeah, the Zerg package is super strong, super aggro-y, very high value and very easy to buff. And the main way you buff in this one would be with the help of Infestor, and the thing about this guy is his buff is more like an aura, so it even works on your Reborn idiots. And that's why the Reborn package with Brittle Bone is so good here. And that way, basically, even when if this guy had Reborn and he dies, he is gonna come back with 2 health instead of 1. So that can be definitely pretty weird for a lot of opponents to handle. And another way for you to get easily Reborn with would be with the help of this guy. Like when you play this guy, he forces all of your other Zergs to get Reborn and then start attacking. And you get the Reborn regardless, like, even if there's nothing on the board. Like, even if you kill the opponent's minion with the first thing, your other idiots are still gonna have all of those Reborns on him without even attacking, and that can also be pretty awesome. And obviously, if you're yelling Yadler on the Infestor, that can also be super huge. Kerrigan is also MVP, and we also have Reska, which is obviously another amazing Death Rattle minion, which you could be reborning and yelling on with the Yodler. Okay, getting kind of hot as we speak. Let's lose this thing a little and move down to the matchups. And here we can see Dungar Druid is still going to be a menace. Everything else pretty green, however. Mulligan-wise, let's see how it goes. And going first, here's what the stats are showing. You're going to want your Infestor. Miracle Salesman ain't bad. The location is amazing. Brittlebone on tempo even could be huge against most classes. Dreadhound Handler, also an amazing early game minion. Nidus Worms is pretty fine, so you can draw some stuff and give him discounts. Brute Queen, especially on curve, would be pretty awesome, like a 2-5 on turn 3. Super good, especially if you've played stuff before. I would not really hold on to the Dev Grell, however. It feels a little bit too much wishful thinking. Horn of Winter could be a consideration, but it does need to have a pretty perfect hand. I don't know if I would straight up hold on to it. And as for on the coin, again, plenty of the same. You want your Infestor, you want the Brittlebone, the location, the other type of minions like Miracle and Dreadhound Handlers. The free drops ain't bad, and yeah, it's literally the same stuff. For other good Death Knight decks, we are gonna see plenty of different Zerg Death Knights. I think this is the one I showed you because it has such a good sample size, but we can see all sorts of other iterations with things like Airlock Breach also doing fine. We have other iterations with the double blues, some rainbow stuff also doing fine. And we're gonna have to scroll a lot lower to see anything other than Zergs. So yeah, I guess right now the Death Knight future would be with the Zerg. On the number 3 spot, we actually have a pretty new variant as well. Pretty new deck, like all of these first 3 decks have been pretty new, and this one is no different. It's a Hero Power Druid of all people. Like, it does seem like this type of deck received a lot of support from the Protoss package. And yeah, it's basically plenty of Hero Power shenanigans like from the past. You have all of the You have all of the known suspects for such a type of deck, like Peaceful Piper, fishing out for your Groovy Cat. We also have the sing-along buddies, so you can double hero power like that. The popular pixie, so you can refresh your hero power. And with Artanis, you're basically gonna be able to give that hero power to one extra minion. So if something's left on the board, that hero power damage is gonna get doubled up. And with all of those refreshes, that can be very scary very fast. We also have things like Bob, so you can remove some uncanny axes and stuff like that. MC Tech can also screw some of the opponent's taunts. And we have some of the other better Protoss cards like Chrono Boost as well as Construct Pylon, so all around the deck does look to be awfully fresh, should be pretty fun to try, definitely give it a check if you still haven't. We also have an ETC in here with Leroy, MC Tech and Ceaseless Expanse in there. And you're going to be picking, depending on your needs, like the Leroy is in here because it basically has charge for you, so you will be able to smack face that way. But let's not forget things like Chrono Boost also give you a free 4 charger. So it's not going to be as important for you to be doing those things. And I do believe this thing is mainly in here for the charge aspect, because you have a grand total of 5 Protoss cards. So yeah, the second one is almost always going to be empty for you, aside from the free 4 charge, so that's the main purpose for it here. Matchup-wise, as you can see, you don't have any bad ones, including even Dungar Druid, so you definitely have that going for you. And I guess the MC Tech is going to be helping you big time against the Dungy boys, so there's that. As for the mulligan, here's what we have, and yeah, you're gonna want to get your good Peaceful Piper kind of deal with the Groovy Cat. Cactus Construct is fine. And also this could give you another Groovy Cat, which could be huge. Arcanite Revelation ain't too bad either. Straight up Chrono Boost, straight up Artanis. Frost Lotus amazing as ever. And a little bit of ramp with Malfurion's Gift, never hurt nobody. And as for on the coin, again, plenty of the same stuff, so mulligan accordingly. For other good Druid decks, obviously Dungar Druid is also as amazing as ever. Like, nerf when Blizzard? Like, why did we not nerf this thing last time? Like, what the hell? I think this is the one I showed you with the Hero Power Druid. Plenty of other Dungar Druids after that. Several iterations of Hero Power doo-doo. And that's basically it for the class right now, innit? I'm not sure we still have stats for Taunt Druid. Yeah, here it is. It has seen better days. So yeah, all around these would be your 2 options, and honestly I could have included Dungar Druid in the top 5 as well, like it is probably going to be better than some of the other decks I'm about to show you, but but the idea here is for me to show you the best decks from one class a pop, so I'd rather just show you 5 different classes and talk about the other best decks they have, so you have a better full picture. On number 4 spot we also have Weapon Rogue doing amazingly well. It does seem like it's falling in power, however. The meta is shifting hard against it with things like Vipers, Glacial Shards, that kind of nonsense. And I would definitely advise you to try and fit some of that stuff in if you are having problems with this thing, because it's a super linear deck. Like, if the Weapon Rogue cannot swing with a big weapon, they can't win. So this deck definitely had the wow factor on it. A lot of people did not expect it to be rising this much in power in the first few days. And it had that going for it, but now with it being as popular as it is going on a downfall, but dropping from 80% down to 60%, still OP as fuck. Not gonna talk about too much about this one, it's straight up Weapon Rogue, build a big stick, slap head with it. I do have a guide about it from not too long ago, so you can definitely check that one out. And let's move down to the matchup, see what that do. And yeah, the reason why Dungar Druid is so strong right now is because the Weapon Rogues are totally getting demolished by it seems. And same can be said for Hero Power Druid as well. Terran Warrior is also something to worry about a little bit, but not too much, and the rest super favorable for you. The big selling point for this deck is it was actually farming the Zerg decks, which definitely rose high in popularity in the first few days. Like, here's the Zerg Death Knight, here's the Zerg Warlock, both getting slaughtered by this thing, so there's your answer. Mulligan-wise, here's what it looks like. You want to get your dig for treasure so you can find this guy. You want to get the quick pick, but if you don't, the hero power is also fine. Gear shift ain't too bad either. Sharp shipment can also be great if you already have your quick pick especially, or at least your way to get your Swarvy Sword Shiner, but don't keep it straight up. Prep can be a consideration if you have something to prep quickly, like let's say a dubious purchases, let's say a mic drop question mark? Probably not, I don't know, maybe prep is not that high on the keep list if you ask me here. So yeah, definitely try to get the weapon first and then start looking for the ways to enhance it. As for on the coin, plenty of the same stuff. Again, the top 3 picks would be Dig, Quick Pick, and Swarthy, and Sharp Shipment as on number 4, with Gear Shift on 5, like literally exactly the same cards. For other good rogue decks, I also saw some Protoss rogues out there, but as you can see, Weapon Rogue is definitely playing the top spots, with all sorts of different iterations. And here's the first non-weapon rogue deck. It's a Protoss rogue that's not exactly doing amazingly well. So if you're going to be slapping with rogue, I'd say weapon will be the way to go. And lastly, we have Elemental Mage. For the sake of me actually not dying live on video right now, I'm just going to wrap it up here. Like, let's just not waste any breath on Elemental Mage. I have plenty of guides about it, plenty of videos. It's still as cheap as ever, just a single Saroon, a couple of free epics in here as well, which you can get for free by completing an achievement, I think. And the rest is a bunch of commons and rares. Still, deck is simple as mud. You can definitely climb with ease with this one, especially if you're strapped for dust. This would be a good option. And it's also farming non-refined deck, so you have that going for you. Matchup-wise, here's what we have. Only Terran Shaman is on the negative from the popular matchups at least. You're great against Weapon Rogue, against Zerg Death Knight, against Dungar Druid even, so all of those popular matchups should be good for you. Mulligan-wise, again, no surprises here. Try to curve out with the Elementalus, Aqua Archivist, absolute MVP, and if you have it, you could even keep things like Saroon or your 5-mana Tainted Remnant, and on the coin, the Archivist becomes even more MVP because that means turn-free Saroon kind of deal. For other good mage decks, plenty of different iterations of Elemental Mage still. By plenty, I mean a couple of cards difference. Protoss Mage is also doing somewhat well, but it's definitely not the monster of a deck some people think it was. And yeah, everything else is very under 50%, so let's not talk about that. That's about it for the top 5. Now let's check out the classes I haven't mentioned, starting off with Demon Hunter, and gotta say, I was actually surprised to see how poorly Demon Hunter is performing with the new Zerg cores. Like, I tried it on day 1, it has been doing absolutely amazing for me. But then again, on day 1, the Zerg package was absolutely slaughtering, so there's that. And yeah, this is a variation with some of the Zerg cards, but it's definitely not the powerhouse I thought it would be. Same can be said for Hunter, although we can say that some Zerg Hunters are doing quite well, but definitely not as well as they used to. Yeah, here's a Zerg Hunter out there, but the Zerg Hunter I was absolutely crushing with on day 1 doesn't seem to have picked up as much. Things like Grunter Hunter are still slapping nice and good with no new cards included. This Zerg Hunter is doing quite fine actually. It is looking kind of similar to what I ran, but not really, with things like Seaside Giant and such. Secret Hunter is still as strong as ever, basically farming unrefined decks. Discover Hunter is also still up there, so you still have plenty of different iterations of Hunter working. But thank God they slapped the shit out of Shafar Hunter, because that thing was absolutely crushing. For Paladin, apparently there is some somewhat working Terran Paladin doing fine. Here's one that's looking somewhat okay. We also have Hand of Pally still doing quite respectably, sitting at 55 with 1000 games. Here's another Terran Pally with a lot more games, a little bit less win rate, however. So you do have several options right now, so you have that going for you. With Priests, apparently Pain Cold Priest is still doing fine. It does have a little bit of the new cards with things like Chrono Boost and Hallucination. What the hell? What the hell is this deck trying to do, guys? Is this straight up just copying the fucking charge? Okay, I mean, I guess that's kind of cool, given what the type of deck this is. Yeah, a 1 mana extra free 2, basically. Charger kinda sounds fine, I guess. Highlander Priest is up there. Here's a straight up Protoss Priest doing actually quite respectable, sitting at 57. But all around that seems to be it for the Priest class, according to the stats at least. For Warlock, Zerg Warlock could have almost made it into this top 5, honestly, but here's the first actually respectable sample size Zerg Warlock, so it's not sitting as high as some of the other decks on this top 5, so there's that. But I'm definitely surprised that the Zerg Warlock is doing as good as it does. Looking quite promising, and the Zilly here would be the deal free damage plus the Divine Shield and Taunt. That's actually kind of interesting. Haven't seen this combination before. I guess it makes some sense summoning yourself a 5/6 with Divine Shield, Rush, Lifesteal. And Taunt could be kind of cool that early. Plenty iterations of the Zerg Warlock, and Hand Warlock not doing so hot. And lastly we have Warrior, with Terra and Warrior sitting at the top with decent sample size if we combine these, and very decent win rate. Here's a very decent win rate, very decent sample size combo, which is, yeah, I guess it is a Terran Warrior, but all around it does look like a Boom Boss Warrior that also summons a bunch of mechs, and the mechs you are summoning here would be the Battle Cruisers, which could be pretty hot. Plenty of iterations of that deck, and it does seem to be the only working one for the class right now. So that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. Gotta say, this was definitely not easy to do, but I'm happy I did, and I hope this helps you climb some easy ranks. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, a like and subscribe would really help. And don't forget you can have some Hearthstone coaching. Thanks for watching, I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.